Look who's back. It's Bruce, a.k.a. the Weathered Soul, and DJ Dougie. Welcome to the Weathered Soul podcast. How you guys doing? We are late, as usual, and only because I had some stuff to do on Monday, which was very important and a very important part of this show today. I just want to make sure that you guys knew that just because we're late doesn't mean that we didn't want to do the podcast. I always called Dougie the day before. You know, Dougie, one of the best co-hosts of all time. There he is. Smile, Dougie, and say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Now I can see him now. Now he's not in the glare.
A little bit.
Now I can see his screen in his glasses now. This is the Weathered Soul podcast brought to you by First Note Productions, and we're in the AJM studios, and Dougie's in his home because we're still kind of doing this StreamYard thing. Pretty soon we'll be back in the studio as soon as I get it all cleaned up. Hopefully I'll sell most of the stuff in my room this weekend, the studio this weekend, because we're having a little yard sale and doing some stuff like that. It's time to get out there and do yard sales and get back into the swing of things before November comes and they shut us down. But anyway, what I wanted to welcome you guys to is welcome you to the podcast. We're here. I want to say every first and third Mondays, but I think what we're going to do is every second and fourth Mondays, because it's really extremely important for me to do some community things. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to attend the city council meetings, and they happen to be on the first and third Mondays of the month. And, I don't know, maybe we'll just fashion the podcast to go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I really want to do them on a Monday, but that's just the way things go. So we don't quite know how we're going to do that yet, but I am going to do this because we are kind of melding back into a local type scene and doing things for local folks with the national flair, because, what I heard and saw this week at the city council meeting has a lot to do with what we're going to talk about in the national scene. And if anybody's been on the national scene, especially on the conservative side of the networks, you know that there's a big outrage in a couple of towns in the East Coast, and we'll be talking about those later. But I want to catch up with Dougie, because how you been, man? It's been a couple of weeks. We got this new schedule that we're only going to do 2 podcasts a month, and kind of bittersweet. I mean, I'd like to do more, but let me tell you, it's a lot of work. We got a lot of work to do. Both me and Dougie have a lot of work to do. We've got a new intro that we need to do. We need to do some new pictures. We need to cut Dougie a spot on anchor.fm so I don't have to do the advertisements all the time, because that's who we are. That's who we go with. If you guys want to hear us, all you got to do is go to the anchor.fm/ the Weathered Soul podcast. You can go there to get the audio version of this podcast. We won't have any videos today, so pretty much all this will blend over to video very, very good, and we're excited about everything that's happening here, and I want you guys to be just excited too. With all the friends and family that I've got, I should have 230 listeners, but we don't have 230 listeners. And and what I want to do is I want to beg you guys. I'm on my knees begging you guys. Please tell your friends, share this podcast with somebody, share it with your enemy, because basically a lot of things we talk about would probably piss your enemy off. But but we have a good time.
Yeah,
go ahead, Doug.
If it doesn't piss you off, then you can use it to piss your enemy off.
That's a good point. We're also, if you'd like to give us a sponsorship or advertise with the Weathered Soul podcast, please drop us an email at info@weatheredsoul.com. That is our new address. Or you can give me a call on my home phone, 408-842-1328. You will be into my message system, and you can leave me a message. I am extremely cheap when it comes to sponsorship right now. We're just looking for sponsors to get on board and advertise with us. We have a small audience, but you know what? We get together every week, me and Doug. This is like our Skype call every week, and we get to talk about things. I mean, I talk to Doug a couple times a week anyway on the phone, but this is the time that we get to share together on the screen with everybody, and people can join us on our YouTube channel and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that reminder that says when the Weathered Soul podcast is on. In fact, we have all kinds of different places that you can get us. Here's one of them right here, that's the Weathered Soul Liberty Network page for YouTube. And as you can see on the Liberty Soul Network page, you've got all kinds of podcasts that I do. Driving at Home, How About This, In the Pit of My Stomach, Bruce for Liberty, The Morning Drive, which is my most popular podcast right now, and then of course the Weathered Soul podcast here with Dougie's beautiful face here in the middle there. And we also have a Facebook page which is called AKA the Weathered Soul. If you just type in AKA the Weathered Soul, or you type in the Weathered Soul podcast, it'll bring you right to our YouTube, or our Facebook page, and you can join that, or you can send me a request for an invite. I'd be more than happy to let you in on that. And that is just the way we roll here, man. Dougie, how you doing, buddy? How's it going, man?
Been okay. Yeah.
What's been going on with you, man? Give us some insight on the weekend that was just passed, because that's kind of what I like to do.
Well, this weekend last past was spent mostly recuperating from week before that. Those couple of hot days really beat the snot out of me. Thursday and Friday I was working up in the East Hills, and it wasn't too bad, until about 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it just got unbearable. It was just hot, hot. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, for those of you,
hydrating and relaxing. Did a bunch of yard work, fun stuff like that. Helped out one of my neighbors, had a electrical problem.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, we had a about a 2-day heat wave. I mean, that's about as much as we really get. And, but we did have a little heat wave, and it took its toll on a lot of people. We got a couple of fires out of it and stuff like that, but it was very hot, and it kind of sucks the life out of you sometimes, especially for Dougie. He works outside.
Well, it was kind of humid too.
I don't think it was. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Me, I'm spoiled. I work in an air-conditioned office, and
if you see clouds, it's humid. Even if it's only 10%.
Absolutely. Well, my weekend consisted pretty much just kind of lazing around the house, working around the house, and went and did our grocery shopping and all that stuff, kind of getting back to normal around California a little bit. But I spent most of the weekend kind of fixing up the house and the backyard. But I'm really excited because I got back onto the exercise routine finally after a year. Just tired of not waiting for my particular gym that I go to open, because it's really cheap to go, and corporate keeps saying no, we're not going to open the gym yet because we're still kind of really scared. I guess there's a liability issue or something like that. But for $15 a month, you can't go wrong with a full gym and all that. And I can't wait for it to get back up. But anybody who knows me, aka the Weathered Soul, knows that I'm into Plexus worldwide. I'm into plant-based supplements and probiotics. And one of the things that I do is that I have a couple of groups that I frequent in there, and one of them is a Plexus group that's doing a Get Fit routine right now. And what it is actually getting up and doing calisthenics in the morning. And it's very simple. I mean, I can do the workout in like 10 minutes. It's a really simple workout. But let me tell you, first day that I did it, I'll tell you what it is. It's 10 push-ups. It's 10 jumping jacks. It's 10 squats. It's 10 crunches and a 30-second plank. And let me tell you something. After not doing anything for a year and being in the gym before for 2 years before that, I was in the gym and in great shape. In 1 year, everything went back to 3 years ago. Because today is day 3 that I've been on this, and I am sore, man. I am freaking sore. My whole body is sore. And not only that, I'm also doing what they call a step bet, which is I'm doing my steps every day. So I'm doing about 7,500 steps a day. 2 of these days I've got to do 10,000 steps out of the week, and it's a bet with other people that are in this group, and we all put down a little money, and I guess whoever reaches their goals and stuff like that every day, at the end of the bet we all get to split the money, and I think we just kind of all get our money back, because it looks like everybody is is doing their required steps. So, and there's some girls out there. I mean, I'm the only guy in the group that's doing this, but there's some girls out there, I swear to God, Doug, they're doing 14,000, 16,000, 18,000, 20,000 steps a day. That is like 10 miles a freaking day, if not more.
Like it's 5.
No, because I do 4 miles a day. I do 4.6 with my 7,500, 8,000 steps a day. It's about 4.2
Depends on how big
miles.
your stride is.
Yeah. And man, let me tell you.
Depends on how big your stride is.
Oh,
right?
Let me tell you.
Most people walking have about a 2-foot stride.
Yeah, these girls,
so you can do the math. So 10,000 steps, that's like 4.6.
Yeah,
miles.
these girls kick my ass. Maybe because they just have that little stride, right? So they're cheating. So maybe I put that on the board. Hey, you guys are cheating. Well, but I'm really trying.
Well, no, because pedometers is counting steps is one thing, but how about actually counting distance, where you calibrate it to your stride,
right?
And then
your phone kind of calibrates itself. So I mean, I right now I'm carrying my phone around all day so I can count every freaking step I've got, so I don't have to take such a long hike when I get home. But I did go golf. Yeah, I did go golfing.
How does your phone know that you're walking?
It's because it's in my pocket. It doesn't. When it's just sitting there, it doesn't record. But it has what they call a Samsung Health on it, and I actuated the health thing, and it has a pedometer that's built into it. So
yes, it actually tell you that your phone has to be in your hip pocket or something like that.
Yeah, it has to be in your hip pocket.
How does it know how far you're going? If
it doesn't,
if you're walking or if you're driving in your car.
It does not do anything in your car. If it shakes or anything like that, it has to have a definite stride to work with. So I usually keep it in my front pocket, so at least it's going in the way that my leg's going. But I did go golfing this weekend. Actually, brother Bob finally beat me after a lot of tries. But handicaps work, because he's a way worse golfer than me, and I really stunk it up this weekend. I didn't do good at all.
Oh, so you guys played special golf?
We played special golf with special golf.
Well, for handicaps.
Oh yeah.
Did you park in the handicap spot too?
No. But we went up to Dublin Ranch up in Dublin, which is in the East Bay Hills, and it was like not a tree in sight, and it was 95 out. Let me tell you, we were looking for shade, and I was watering down, man. Oh man, let me tell you, it was quite a time. We had a great outing. It was really good. And then I came home and pretty much sat around the fire with the two women of the house, and whew, that was interesting. You should have been over here, man, and been over here and back me up because
I fell asleep on the floor by 8:30.
I got ganged up on. I came home and made rum sours, and everybody had rum sours, and what happens after a couple rum sours, and the girls were always right.
Well, you could just leave,
I could have just left. For sure. But one place I didn't leave was the city council meeting this week over in Gilroy. And like I said, one of the reasons why we're rescheduling the podcast the way it is, and that we're been late most of the time, is number one, I've been trying to get very civic minded and ready to launch this podcast more into a local and community type podcast, but hitting on national stories and national impact. And I think that it's very imperative, especially what I saw at the Gilroy City Council meeting this week, is because, number one, they're still doing their city council meetings over Zoom, which means that the city council is not open yet. City Hall, I don't believe, is open at all. I think it's still closed to the public. We got the libraries open, we have the pools open, we have the schools open, we have everything else open, but we don't have the city hall open or the city chambers open. And to me, when I went to the city council meetings before in the chambers itself, I saw scatterings of people, and that's one of the things that I have a problem with. So, but we're going to get into some of the issues that we're facing here in Gilroy. So some of you Gilroy people, please cheer that you have an actual podcast that is going to deal with some of these issues. And these are my views, and they are DJ Dougie's views, because we are both citizens of Gilroy, and I'm sure that some of our views will differ, just like always, and some of our ideas and our comments will be the same. But for the most part, what we were talking about, and the great big huge problem that we're having here in Gilroy, is that we have a fireworks problem, or it's a perceived fireworks problem. Now, Dougie lives about 1.5 miles, maybe a mile away from me, and he hears the same thing I do. And I blame him that he's blowing off fireworks, and he blames me that I'm blowing off illegal fireworks. But there's no doubt in my mind that around 9:30 at night, somewhere around there, all of a sudden we hear great big booms and fireworks shows.
They come from the same place, pretty regularly.
Yeah.
There's
well,
there's a couple down by you, and there's a couple up by me.
Right. And they're all over the place. I mean, so one of the things is that fireworks are illegal in the state of California. Fireworks are, illegal fireworks, or what they call not safe and sane fireworks, are illegal in the state of California. And the only place that you can do safe and sane fireworks are here in Gilroy. You can buy them here in Gilroy and blast them off in front of your house. Or I believe there's another place in the East Bay, and I'm not sure if they're doing it anymore. I think it was Livermore or Pleasanton, something like that, that also has fireworks. But one of the biggest issues that they were talking about was the fireworks problem that we're having here. So every night it's going off. I mean, we did have a lull in it where you would hear an explosion every so often. We do have farms around here, so some of the explosions that you do hear at night happen to be critter related. I want to say that farmers do blow off a charge every once in a while in their fields to scare off the critters and stuff, so they don't damage the crops. But for the most part, they're not the huge quarter stick, half stick dynamite booms that rattle your house and your windows, and that's pretty much what's been happening. Pretty much people are doing fireworks shows. Usually happens starting around graduation time. It started a little early. In fact, it kind of goes on every day, but for the most part, it was a I think we said in the Weather Soul podcast around New Year's that it was a war zone around here on New Year's. It's always It's always a war zone around here on 4th of July. And the city council got together and had a great big powwow, and that was one of the main focuses on the city council this week. What surprised me the most out of everything, and I had my 2 cents to say, because, and I think Doug agreed with me because we talked about this earlier, was the fact that the reason why there's so many fireworks going off and people doing illegal fireworks every night is because basically fireworks are illegal, and prohibition is going to breed that type of thing. Because if you go out to the Midwest towns, granted, Midwest is a little small, less population, blah blah blah, but fireworks are legal out there. All the good fireworks, the Roman candles, the bottle rockets, the this and the that's, anything that explodes or goes up in the air, they're accessible and they're legal in those states. And if there's anything that the government hasn't done, is that they haven't learned their lesson that prohibition just invites a black market or a white market or a gray market, whatever you want to call it. I mean, they're trying to come up with all kinds of ideas to mitigate, and the community, all 9 of us, we're going to talk about the old 9 of us later. We're talking about what we were doing for our against these fireworks, and most of them are shocking. So here's one of the shocking ones that I heard straight from the horse's mouth was that, hey, we need to increase the fines, increase the jail time, and get the alcohol, tobacco, firearms involved in our fireworks problem. And to me, that was kind of hilarious because, I mean, if we have a police force of, when I first moved here in 2009, I think our police force was 5. I think we have a police force of about 15 now. I think we've added 10 since I've been here. I'm not sure the count on that, but I'm pretty sure that we do have a bigger police force than we had before. And with all the quote crime that we have going on in Gilroy, the resources are cut thin as far as when it comes to trying to figure out who's doing the fireworks. I mean, Dougie, I don't know how you feel about it. You're on that side of town. You know what's going on. It goes on by your house. It goes on by my house. Yeah.
I could see him from my house. I could give you the address.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take a lot of detective work to figure it out. Just got to be there at 9:30 every night.
Well, what do you think? What do you think the solution is? I'm going to ask you. Yeah, what do you think your solution is? What's your take on illegal fireworks in California?
Personally,
yeah, personally,
get used to them.
There you go. Why do you say get used to them? I want to hear some background on why you would say get used to
them. Personally, I like them.
That's a great reason, man. I mean, there's no more reason than that. I mean, people, let me say one thing here.
Well, let me tell you a story first.
Go ahead, tell me a story. Go.
All right, so one time
I always love Dougie's stories.
One time I had a job down in Riverside. It was at this big house up on top of a canyon, right next to Eddie Van Halen's house. And I actually commuted. The hotel I got was down next to Disneyland. So every night when I got home from work, I could stand out my hotel door and watch fireworks.
Well, that's fantastic. I like that. Yeah.
How's that? Okay.
Yeah.
So my cats might hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But rarely does it ever startle me.
Yeah.
Even the ones that just come out of nowhere, boom, 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 the house goes. Blah, 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 blah. It's like,
I kind of think it's pretty cool. But
I could see how it could disturb a lot of people, especially when it's going on like past 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right.
I think what happens here is that, a lot of people are complaining about, dogs and cats being scared, people with PTSD and anxious people, stuff like that. To me, I do have a heart for that. I do think that there's personal responsibility involved. I'm all about personal responsibility, but I'm also about the real genuine fact that, I agree with you. Get used to it. Why? Because we wouldn't have this problem if those fireworks weren't illegal. And I'll tell you what, if they made fireworks legal here in California, I mean, it's like if you would make heroin legal in California. Doug, are you going to become a heroin addict overnight?
No.
Are you going to try heroin because heroin's legal?
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, sensible.
If I wanted to, I already would have, whether it was legal or not.
Exactly.
Just like I'd be shooting off fireworks if I wanted to, whether it was legal or not. Just like I have done since I was 12 years old.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. So when I did made my comment about one of the reasons why we're having this problem is because prohibition breeds this kind of activity. I can feel the mayor's head or eyes roll back in her head, giving her a headache. But and we're personal friends with the mayor anyway.
Well, that there's a reason why. All right, because it is a big fire hazard, right?
Right.
It's like where can you go launch a model rocket around here?
Well, you used to be able to. Well, I don't even know if you could have done it over at the RC place that they closed down over on 101. So I'm not even sure that you could do that. And our rockets legal to do. I know down south, my friend Dave, he's a big rocket guy, and they go out and do rockets. I believe out in Victorville, out in the desert somewhere.
Yeah. I know a guy up in San Francisco. They make their own. They make their own rockets, and they build their own. Fill their own.
You blow yours off.
Yeah,
you blow yours off in Mount Shasta, right?
Yeah, that private property.
Right, on private property. I guess if you have private property, it's like.
Now, when I was growing up, it was any schoolyard, any public park.
Yep.
No problem.
Yep. Well, some of the solutions that they were talking about, because we had both the chiefs of the fire stations in there, Officer Wyatt and Officer Smith were there, and they're talking about putting up this drone this year and flying around Gilroy, and they're a little worried. They're actually concerned about the privacy issues, and I chimed in on that one also. The city council seemed to be all for it. In fact, the city council is all for just stepping on everybody and making sure that we have an app that we can tell on our neighbor if we see them doing fireworks. They have the 911 call, or they got a special phone number this time that we can call, and a special app that we can use to turn in our neighbors and stuff that we see doing illegal fireworks. But the bottom line is that the fire department, even with the drones and the apps and the phone numbers and everything, he's going like, our resources are just not enough to do really anything about it.
Yeah.
And the 9 people that were commenting with me were so off the hook. I mean, I didn't hear anything about education. To me, if you got a prohibition on something, you might as well spend your money on education more than you should spend on resources to try to find people who are doing fireworks or anything else.
Once again, it comes down to the Benjamins, right?
Yeah, that's what
fireworks cause house fires. House fires cost insurance companies money.
Yeah. They're talking about the Benjamins that are coming out of the Safe and Sane fireworks that we have here.
Wait. That's a revenue source, so that's one thing, right? I'm talking about something else. The reason why fireworks are mainly banned anywhere is because how much does it cost to have your hand rebuilt, or to have prosthetics made for losing a thumb, right? Okay. That costs our.
Yeah. Well,
our insurance.
Yeah, but
our
property,
insurance.
Yeah, property.
Right.
Yeah,
so there it is.
Yeah. Well, property
insurance
damage
companies can't make as much money if they have to pay out things.
Yeah. Well, property damage and human damage or body damage is the same, whether it be in California or whether it be in freaking Kansas City.
Right.
So I mean,
I say that generally, that's why fireworks are illegal in most places.
But they aren't in most places, because in the Midwest, fireworks are they're legal.
Well, I mean, a lot of places you can buy them, but you can't light them off.
Yeah, in about 30 states, you're able to buy them and light them off. So, but the problem is not because people are going out of state to go get these fireworks. The problem is they've already traced the sources of where they get these fireworks, and most of them are getting them right in San Francisco or down in down in the Central Valley, and they know that there's a source coming in. But the bottom line is what they kind of decided on the city council meeting is that they pretty much need to rely on the federal and state resources to take care of the situation, and they don't even care about little places like Gilroy. It's not a big deal to them.
No.
I mean, they can track the source down to Chinatown and freaking, San Francisco, or someplace in Merced or Modesto or wherever the case may be. You're never going to get to where you have this bountiful network of people that are selling illegal fireworks, because that's never going to happen.
Right.
Because
we always used to get our fireworks, driving up the East Coast, we get them south of the border in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. So it's huge place, a big tourist trap place.
Right.
Then when I was traveling, I had customers in Illinois, and if you went to Indiana and you had an outer state ID, you could buy fireworks. You couldn't buy them if you had an in-state ID.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
so I'd buy a big box load of them, throw them in a suitcase and throw them on the plane and go home.
Because you like fireworks.
Yeah. So
I like things that go boom too.
It's really simple to get. I know people that that they, how you have like a football pool at work.
Yeah.
Well, they hand out a fireworks shopping list, and everybody writes down what they want, and then they go to the U-Haul up to Nevada and fill it up, or up to Idaho or something. They fill up the U-Haul, they bring it back, and everybody gets their stuff. I mean, it's not like there's smuggling heroin or opium or something, right? It's fireworks.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, what the other 8 people that were conversating with me, it sounded like you were killing people, and you actually need to spend life in jail and huge fines and get your property taken away and all kinds of other things. So.
Well, we hear every year of a couple of accidents, right? You read the paper for
guy got his hand blew off. 5th
and 6th of July. Yeah, 2-3 people got their hands blown off in the Bay Area. Somebody lost an eye, that sort of stuff, right? But I have actually only seen one fire caused by fireworks, and they were safe and sane fireworks. It was one of those fountain things, right? And it was on somebody's front kind of sidewalk. Right, the greenway between the sidewalk and the road, and it fell over and shot the sparks into their hedges, which were like evergreen hedges, and they went up. 4th of July, they went up like a rag soaked in gasoline. Yeah, and it was just the sparks hit that evergreen duff underneath, and it just went like a match head. That's the only one I've ever seen.
Gilroy Fire Department reported that they had 9 fire incidents due to illegal fireworks last year, 2020, and you would believe that COVID never even came to light, because it was the hugest freaking fireworks show that I've ever seen in Gilroy.
Well, I think gun smoke is a good disinfectant.
But and they had responded to 5 injuries, those all resulting in illegal fireworks, and they said that they resulted in no fires that were caused by safe and sane fireworks. So they weren't really on the ball of safe and sane fireworks, but they were trying to suck some of the revenue out of the safe and sane sales that we have here in Gilroy, to mitigate the app and maybe pull some more resources in the police department. But of course, once they did their after their community comments, they all voted okay to do the drone, and they all voted okay to take the funds, and they did, they're going to do
that drone had better
it.
Not be lower than 500 feet.
Yeah, that drone better not come by my house.
Yeah, no, if it's below 500 feet,
yeah. It's
liable to get hit by a bottle rocket.
It's liable to get it's liable to get shot down. Anyway, I didn't say that, but
oh yeah, there'd be somebody out there.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Yeah, the other thing too is what they're doing again is they're going to make the legal quote safe and sane fireworks so expensive that it'd be cheaper to go buy a box of firecrackers out of somebody's trunk.
That is one of the reasons why that I told them. That's another comment that I made, is like, hey, look, the reason why I could go buy a bottle rocket or a Roman candle or a couple of fireworks to go in the air for a third of the price that it cost me to buy $150, $200 package of 20 to 25 fireworks to go blow off in my front yard. And those are safe and sane fireworks. So the price differential is, it's astronomical as far as how cheap it is to go get illegal fireworks. So if you just make them legal, you take the candy out of the kid's hand. The reason why, and these are not kids going out and buying these fireworks. These are adults going out and buying fireworks and blowing them off, or buying fireworks and selling them to the little kids, whatever the case may be. But if you made it legal for those fireworks to be sold in the state of California or nationwide, you're going to mitigate. You're going to pretty much take away all the fun it has, because once somebody tells you something that you can't do, you're probably going to go out and do it, right?
Yeah. And listen, kids, if you'd paid attention in high school science class, you could make your own fireworks.
That's right. something that we lost a long time ago is that people actually go into science class, right?
You'd be surprised though what makes a big bang. You could take like a teaspoon of black powder, like shotgun powder, and wrap it up into one of those paper footballs with a fuse sticking out of the end of it, and it's as loud as an M80. You would be surprised.
Yeah. Well, I think
these things that look like hand-rolled cigars out of newspaper with a fuse sticking out the end of them. You think, no.
Well, I think the conclusion is that me and Dougie both agree that the prohibition of fireworks is pretty much, had its day in California. And, for the most part, what I said at the city council meeting probably hurt the city council's heads more than they heard anything about it, because they all voted, unanimously to go ahead and put the drone up and, take funds from the sales of our fireworks that are supposed to go to the charities, our community charities and stuff, to use for resources for more police officers and stuff.
So they charge a license.
Okay, we lost Dougie here for a minute, so we got to figure out what's going on with him. But I'm going to keep going on. Yeah, I'm still here. Hold on, I think you're gone, but I'll keep on going while you fix your problem there. You're frozen on the screen, and we apologize for this, but it happens most of the time. And Dougie will either have to bow out or bow in. But I think I'm going to keep going for Dougie, and Dougie can get out of here and then come back in, and I'll bring him back in because he's the best thing I've got going on. Anyway, yeah, me and Dougie both agree that there he is, and both of us both agree that the prohibition of fireworks has seen its day, and that the city council should think about maybe just giving up the whole thing and just kind of ignoring it the way that I perceive that they already have. I mean, pretty much the police department and the resources had admitted that at the meeting, and still they decided to take funds away from the charities and stuff that rely on these funds. And I think it's just terrible that they did that. But another thing, going on to another subject that they had, I want to talk about something. I was going to talk about another thing that went on at the city council meeting, but I want to talk about other things that went on at other city council meetings and school board meetings in the nation. Because right now, if you read the conservative newspapers, not being covered too much by MSNBC or CNN or anything, but it's being covered by Fox, being covered by local news where these stories are being taken care of. But we've got some things going on. I'm going to share my screen with you right now. And Loudin County, if you've been asleep for like a year, you don't know what's going on. But Loudin County has been a hotbed in their school board probably for the last month. I think they've been doing this on purpose just to get some kind of traction here. But they got a school board meeting. They halted comments on transgender policy, critical race theories going through there. They're doing all kinds of things. The school board is just making knee-jerk decisions and ignoring the citizens that belong to their communities. But the thing that I wanted to show you guys was not the fact that the school board is doing what they're doing, because I've never been to a school board meeting. We have a school board here in Gilroy. I've never heard of a meeting going on. But like I said, I wanted to be a part of the city council meetings, and I wanted to be educated in doing those things. So what I've got a hit on everybody here, the 55,000 people who live here in Gilroy, which only 9 of us were there at this meeting. I'm not sure how many people were in the background that were not commenting or anything, but you know what? You should be at your school board meetings or your city council meetings, whichever one which is going to be the most impactful to your city. But we've got hundreds of people that are going to these school board meetings. And I can go to Loudin County, who wanted to do the critical race theory, the transgender policy, and all that. I can go to Randolph, New Jersey School Board, who had to reverse the decision to strap holiday names like Columbus Day, and they wanted to make, they wanted to name all their days a day off. And the people got together. I mean, hundreds of people got together to go to these school board meetings and go make their voices heard. And I think the travesty that I see in Gilroy and in most of California, because I lived in San Jose also, is that the fact of the matter is that nobody goes to the city council meetings. So you've got 7 people or 9 people on our city council that, for the most part, vote unanimously for what they want to do, because there's only 9 of us that ever come to the city council meeting and make our voices heard. So there's 9 of us, which I'm probably in the biggest minority of all of them, because I'm probably most conservative and most probably the most conservative person there, and also probably one of the most people that just believes in freedom and personal responsibility. And we've been through that before.
Well,
but the fact of the matter is that you got 9 people representing 55,000 that are going to these meetings. And you've got another 7 or 8 or 9 people, whoever's on the city council, I can't remember what the count is, that are representing those other people.
Yeah.
So they're not hearing your voices, guys. And if you're sitting there and you're bitching about it, the name of the show, the title of the show is that if you ain't a part of the problem right now, then, you're a part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
how
one
are you
thing,
going to be a part of the solution if you're not part of the problem?
Well, citizen involvement is a big thing, right? People don't take it up much. Usually, people that go to the town meetings and stuff like that. I mean, I grew up in a town that always had town meetings, and they announced it. Everybody knew about it. There was a hall that had plenty of room for everybody to go to,
Yep.
and everybody had a say. Everybody had their opinion. Everybody, okay, who says yes to this? Who says no to this? Who says, more money on schools? Who say no more money on schools? Blah, 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 right? So on and so forth. But if you don't know about it, right? So that's one thing. They don't advertise this stuff, do they?
Yep. I was commenting that to you on our drive home when we were talking about this in the pre-show. And one of the things that I noticed, and one of the things that they admitted to, is that, number one, when they're doing public comment, number one, you've got to know, number one, that there's a city council meeting going on, which is the first Mondays of every month. They have them. It's on the city website. If you're not going to your city's website and going to the council page, then you're part of the problem. And if you want to be a part of the problem and be a part of the solution, you've got to be involved in your community. Another thing that they admitted is that public comments are only taken and they're only posted on either the city council website or our newspaper. So the circulation of our newspaper is not very much. And also
I get it.
Yeah. And then they have a website. Sure. How many people go to the Gilroy Dispatch to go get their news every day? I mean, probably not a lot of people, because they're not making very much money. They don't have very good news and things like that. And then they've got a mailer. You can actually subscribe to a mailer. And down in the show notes, I don't have them in there now. I'm going to put them in there later, of how you can get a hold of our city council, you Gilroy residents, how you can get a hold of our city council and be aware of what's going on, in our city council, what's coming up in our city council, and what's going on with our city council. And you guys need to be a part of the solution. And the only way that you can be a part of the solution is be part of the problem. And part of the problem is being in front of the city council and saying your piece. And one more thing I want to say about the city council, and we talked about a party that's going to happen here in July, and I'm going to be there because I'm going to say something to one of the people that's going to be there at the city council meeting. And one of those is going to be this, is that city council chambers need to be open. We need to open City Hall. Everything else in California is open and ready to rock and roll. And the the City Hall is still closed. The chambers are still closed, but the swimming pools, the schools, the libraries, and all that other stuff is open. And Dougie, there we go.
You got building departments closed. You've got all over the place. It's a ridiculous thing. I know what you're saying. It's absolutely getting out of control. I mean, like I told you the other day, I had an inspection. The inspector came, and last inspection I had was during the protocols, and it was in San Jose, and everybody had masks on, and everybody used a long stick to hand each other papers, and here I'll leave the paperwork on the garbage can with a rock on it, and then I'll walk away so you can come look at it, that type. And so the inspection, day before yesterday was no mask. The guy walked up here, how you doing? Blah blah blah. Did right face to face, all that sort of stuff. And it's like, okay, so the building inspectors have been released from their crazy protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't the town hall open? Why can't I go to the building department and say, why are you asking me for these requirements on this design when it's never been asked for in the past and it's not necessary for this project? Yeah, instead, I've got to do this email thing back and forth. Yeah. That you send an email and it's like, gee, we're really busy. We'll get back to you for 3 or 4 weeks. Haha. They have time to send you that email.
Yeah, I think the answer is very simple, is that they don't want to interact with you face to face anymore. And right now, I think I think the city council is hiding behind their little Zoom screens, and they don't have to see, AKA the Weathered Soul, in the audience sitting down there, knowing that I'm going to come on this podcast and echo exactly the sentiments of what I've seen at basically the mayor and one of the councilmen that I know personally were very surprised to see me back. And of course they knew that they were going to get, their 2 cents. I was going to get my 2 cents in, because not only do I do that there, I do it for the Gilroy Dispatch, because I go in there and I do, opinions and comments to some of their editorials. I haven't done it in a while because I haven't really had time to do anything more than my side job and everything else. But I do make my voice known in the community. And I think more people need to make their voice in the community, because what happens if you don't make your voice in the community? Number one, you're not heard. And number two, we have an enormous amount of ordinance and decisions and everything that go unanimous. And it upsets me when I have a city council that is, whether it be 5, whether it be 7, whether it be 9, whether it be 59
if they're all people
on the city council that go unanimous on every decision,
then we should just have one.
Then we should just have one freaking person. Might as well have a king, right? Might as well have a king if everything's going to be unanimous. And it pisses me off. It really does, Doug. It pisses me off.
Is it because they're too lazy to make an argument?
Yeah, because I guess they're just too late. No, they ask plenty of questions. Don't get me wrong.
But if they vote negative or vote opposite of the rest of the group, are they going to have to answer questions?
Oh, I have no idea, because I've only seen that happen less than a handful of times.
Or is it a political thing where, like, okay, the rest of the council wants this, and they're all going to get reelected. I want to get reelected too, so I'm just going to follow.
Well, city council is not supposed to be political,
right?
When you go to your ballot on the city council, it doesn't say Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Independent. It doesn't say any of that. So you don't know unless you've met your city council people, which I've met a couple of city council people. I know the mayor personally. I know Fred Tovar, which is one of our congressmen. I haven't met them all, but I've seen a lot of them. We've seen them at the barn. We've seen them, at a couple of different places that we frequent. You see them out shopping and restaurants and things like that. But the problem is that, sometimes that is an appropriate situation where you can go talk to your city council person, face to face if you see him at a store or something like that. But I kind of shy away from that. I try not to. I'll go ask, hey, do you mind if I ask you a question or something like that? Blah blah blah. If they don't mind, then I'll talk to them about it. But for the most part, they're private citizens. They don't want to be bugged about city council stuff while they're shopping for their family, during the weekend and stuff like that. I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So, I show them that same courtesy, but they damn well better listen to the citizens while they're doing public comment and just, for the most part, I believe that we're ignored, whether it be for it or against it. I really think that they've had their mind up made before they even, open the meeting. I mean, and I think it's just one of those things because there's only, 9 to 12, even if there was 20, that would not be enough people to sway the arguments that they have in the city council. So I'm asking for hundreds. I'm asking for hundreds of people to be online, or hundreds of people to be at the city council chambers when they open it up, because basically it comes down to this. Like I said, if you're not part of the problem, you're not part of the solution. And part of the solution is being part of the problem. And part of the problem is being in front of that city council meeting, engaged with those people that are making decisions for you. The most powerful, the most powerful people in your community are the ones that are making the decisions. And we can't me and you can't sway what Biden does or Kamala Harris does or any of the senators do, right, or anything like that. We can't sway that. We can't sway that. That's way above us.
Well, we could still write them letters.
Oh yeah, we can write them letters all we want.
But I wonder how many people actually read the local paper.
I was wondering how many
that
people
too. Are even interested enough to read the local paper?
Well, I'll have to say this about the local paper.
Subscription is down.
The local paper, our local paper is actually a local paper. And, I get the dispatch, and I do read it. I don't get it all the time because, my neighbor gets it before I get it, because it's his paper.
Okay.
But when I get it, I do read it. But it's a local paper. It deals with local issues. It deals with local news stories, unlike the San Jose Mercury News or the San Francisco Chronicle, which might as well be like the fucking New York Times. I mean, because all they're doing is they're just, regurgitating the national news. And if you want to get any local news, well, you better go to the local section or page 13 or 14 of the inside of the, the cover page or something like that, because that's where your
the
local
Mercury News
is.
has San Jose News, and they do have things around the Bay Area, right? That could include any town.
Yeah, but mostly it's got
it's
local news on the. It's not a local newspaper, not like it used to be back in the day when I grew up. I grew up with I grew up with the San Jose Mercury News. I grew up with the Oakland Tribune, the Daily Gazette. All the even the small newspapers, and they're gone. They're gone. There's
nobody reads anymore.
There's no print media anymore. So, it's one of those things that we really need to get back to. Everybody needs to get back to reading actual news stories out of your local paper. And if you don't have a local paper, then maybe you should start griping about that too and going to their board meetings. Because like I said, the most powerful people in your community are making the decisions. And if they don't hear from you, then you're not going to get any action. And you're the one. I mean, we have a lot of power. You would be surprised how much power a group of people could have on a city council or a school board meeting. If hundreds of us showed up at the city council meeting and started demanding actions instead of their unanimous decisions all the time, you'd probably start seeing some people voting no or yes on a lot of issues. And that's just one of my, that's just kind of the gist of what I wanted to go to tonight. And that's where I'm at, Dougie. that's what I've got.
I totally agree. And I think that the bottom line is, if like what you keep saying, if you're not going to be a problem for the city council, you're not going to be part of the solution.
Absolutely right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. If you don't participate, you can't complain.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes we say, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. Well, yeah, you still have a right to complain, but the fact of the matter is that in the national vote and stuff, I've given up on. I yell at the internet all the time. That's my forte. I yell at the internet. I yell at what's going on in Washington.
It's designed to do that.
It's designed to do that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that even our senators and our representatives, Zoe Lofgren and Wasserman, was it Wasserman or Waterman? I can't remember his name.
Wasserman.
Caballero and stuff like that. Yeah, you can write them letters every once in a while. You can go see them at a town hall, and they might get they actually get a good turnout at those halls, but not really a lot of things happen, as far as that's concerned, because we're not paying them the big money that other people pay them to make the decisions that would help the community, instead of helping, they're helping themselves get reelected instead of helping the community solve their problems. And I think that's where a lot of the things are. I think I'm nailing it straight on the head. And
well, you made a very interesting point too, because, that's the thing, the politicians work for the people that pay to get them elected.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that doesn't matter whether it's Google, it doesn't matter whether it's Apple, it doesn't matter whether it's Raytheon or General Dynamics or anything like that. And it really doesn't matter whether you're red, blue, Republican, Democrat, Independent, doesn't matter. The reason why they're getting elected is because their donors are giving them big freaking money to get elected, and favors are done.
To convince you to vote for them.
Right. My little piddly, donation, if I did anything, because I really don't donate to political parties as far as when it comes to national elections. I'm more apt to back a Fred Tovar or somebody like that for a local election, and at least be able to say, hey, dude, not, I don't want to put in your face that I voted for you, but I want to put in your face that, you represent me, and that, my voice needs to be heard in these issues, and Dougie's voice needs to be heard in these issues, and my wife's voice, my daughter's voice, Abby's voice, probably my dog's and your cat's voice needs to be.
Well, that's if you care.
Yeah, and that's if you care. And I just think that the citizens of Gilroy, I'm calling you guys out. Going to be down in the show notes on how to get a hold of your city council. It's going to be down in the show notes on how to contact City Hall. It's going to be down in your show notes about when those meetings are taking place. So that's what we're going to do.
You can go to www.cityofgilroy.org, and from there you can navigate yourself to just about anything you want, including city council.
Yep.
And it actually has the city council schedule there.
Absolutely. Even got the agendas.
It's you can save it or print it out as a PDF if you like, but we've already gone through May, June 21. Next one will be July 1st.
Yep.
And then August 2nd, August 16th.
Yep.
I don't have the agendas for these, but you can get those just as easily. Same
Yep.
website.
Yep.
And you should, and see maybe see something on the agenda that interests you.
Yeah,
that you want to chime in on.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it's worth taking a look.
It is absolutely worth taking a look, man. And I think the show went very well. I think, like I said, because of the national outlook of other people that's going on in Loudin County, Virginia, and Randolph School District in New Jersey, I have to commend those people for, right or wrong, whatever the case may be. However you feel about what they're arguing about, it really doesn't matter. But the community is getting involved, and they are saying their voice. It could be a 50-50 split down the middle. It could be 60-40. It could be for or against. It doesn't matter. I'm proud of all those people, no matter what they believe in, for going out there and getting involved in their community and stepping up to their councils, their city councils, their school boards, whoever it is. I commend you guys. I mean, you guys are doing the good fight. Keep it up. Like I said, I don't care which way you're for. It doesn't matter. Be involved. Be a part of the problem. Be the part of the problem to your city council, and you guys are going to know that you're going to make a difference in your communities. And
well, it's amazing how you can sway what happens too. Like, you know, groups say, you know, even like a religious group, if there's enough of that faith in one town, they can get the city boards, like the school board, loaded with people from their church. And then basically the church is now the doctrine of the education system.
Right.
If you don't like that, I mean, if you're part of that group, then you're very happy with that, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not part of that group, you get your choice. You can move out of town to a new school district, or you can rally the same way they did and get a few of them off and a few other people in.
Exactly. Because if you don't get your kind in, you don't get your kind freaking represented, and that's just kind of where we're at. But Doug, man, we bounced up right around 1 hour, man, and we've had a great conversation. I want to thank you guys for being here with us on the Weathered Soul podcast. You can get the audio podcast on anchor.fm. We are at anchor.fm/the Weathered Soul podcast. We would more than love you guys to go to iTunes, give us a rating, whatever podcast catcher you catch us on, like us, download us. All my family and friends out there, I've got a list of 300 friends out there. We should have at least 300 listeners, and you know, because everybody should be at least downloading this podcast. You don't have to listen to it. Just download it. I mean, that's you know, I support you, you support me. We scratch each other's back. That's the way it goes with friendships and community. And I want to make sure that everybody here knows about the Weathered Soul podcast and knows that Gilroy has their own podcast that deals with local issues that deal with the national level. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that me and Dougie care about you guys. We care about the issues that are going on in our community, and we care about all things that are Gilroy. So, Dougie, this is where I say you are the best and most terrific podcast co-host of all time. I love you, man. Say good night,
right
Dougie.
On. Good night, Dougie.
Okay, good night to you guys. Yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next Weathered Soul podcast. Thank you for watching the Weathered Soul podcast. Please share this episode with a friend and subscribe to our YouTube page, and we will see you next week.